This is Dante Williams, and you're watching
Dante's
Boxing Nation.
This is Showtime Sean Porter. Filipino Flash, Jesse Burgess.
This is Al Bernstein. You're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.
Hi, I'm Sugar Ray.
Chick Shape.
Search over last name more.
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Boom, 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 boom. Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder.
My name is Gennady Golovkin.
And you're watching
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? I tell you, man, all you have to do is wait for it. It may not always come when you want it to come, but the truth will always show up and come to light. We just found out today, it was reported that HBO is turning their backs on Pacquiao versus Jesse Vargas. They do not want to put that fight on their network, according to promoter Bob Arum. Now, and according to old Bobby, HBO, they said they already have a big pay-per-view fight in November, which is Ward versus Kovalev, and they have some other big stuff going on in November as well, and they do not feel a Pacquiao versus Vargas fight will sell. So they're not willing to take the risk of putting Pacquiao on HBO's pay-per-view. And from what I gather is they can't afford to even put it on regular HBO because HBO would have to put out even more money to air that fight on regular HBO. And we know that right now HBO, you know, they're not doing really well when it comes to their budget. They've done major budget cuts. So, you know, things are not really looking that good right now for HBO Sports or HBO Boxing. Now, originally, Pacquiao, he wanted this return fight in October, but because of his political obligations, he had to push it to November. And this is one of the many reasons why Bob Arum is so upset, because he said Manny Pacquiao, he devoted 10 years of his life, of his boxing career, to HBO. And this is the thanks they get. This is pretty much what Bob Arum was saying. So now Bob Arum, he looks to host this fight on either another network or even just going straight solo and not even going with a network. But, you know, this is sad. This is sad for Manny Pacquiao. This is sad for HBO. I mean, it's just all around, it's a bad situation. I mean, now there's one thing to get backlash from the boxing fans when they disapprove of a fight that's being put together. But when your own network has a problem with your opponent, that really makes Team Pacquiao look bad. When your promoter has a problem with your opponent, that really makes Pacquiao look bad. You guys have to understand something. Pacquiao is in a very rare position for a fighter, because usually the promoter is trying to protect you, or the promoter and the network. But in Pacquiao's situation, Bob Arum, he did not want to make this fight. Bob wanted to make Pacquiao versus Terrence Crawford. Everyone working underneath Bob Arum, they all had a goal, and their goal was to make Pacquiao versus Crawford. I know that because I talked to a lot of people inside of Top Rank Stable, and they've told me this. They told me they didn't want to make the Vargas fight. They wanted to make a Crawford fight. And when you see how HBO reacted to Manny Pacquiao choosing Jesse Vargas, this confirms everything that I've already known. Now, there's no doubt about it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for HBO to put two pay-per-views on in the same month when Ward versus Kovalev is the biggest fight, the most significant fight of the year. I mean, that fight is so big, that fight is going to crown the next undisputed pound for pound king since Floyd Mayweather retired, right? Now, it would be different if Pacquiao was fighting against Terrence Crawford, if he was fighting against Adrian Broner, Keith Thurman. If he was fighting against someone like that, HBO, they would not have had a problem putting Manny Pacquiao on the network in November. But once again, and this is unfortunate for Jesse Vargas, and hopefully, you know, all of this backlash that Manny Pacquiao is getting is just more motivation for Jesse Vargas to really go in there and try to pull off an upset. But the way things are now, clearly this is starting to look like the fight that nobody wants, including the networks. When you hear the frustration, or when you hear Bob Arum's frustration, he's saying, you know what, we may go to Showtime, we may, you know, just go straight solo and not even go with a network. To me, that's telling me that Showtime, they may say, hey, we don't want to put that on our network either. That may or may not be the case. But you know, Bob Arum, man, he has so much information of what's really going on behind the scenes when it comes to HBO's finances and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the only reason we even know about HBO's financial situation, their budget cuts, mainly is because of Bob Arum. For those of you guys who don't know, Bob Arum, he wanted to put a doubleheader on HBO earlier this year. He wanted to have Victor Postal versus Adrian Granados, and in the main event, it would have been Lomachenko versus Nicholas Walters. But HBO could not afford to put it on the network. That's the reason why we didn't get Walters versus Lomachenko, guys. That's the reason why we didn't get it, because if HBO would have put the money up, then old Bobby, he would not have lowballed Nicholas Walters the same way he lowballed Guillermo Rigondeaux when it comes to a fight against Lomachenko. You know, guys, like I just told you, I bet you Bob Arum, he knows so much dirt behind the scenes, but of course, you know, he's not going to tell the public. But if he were to air out and disclose everything, man, Bobby would be looking like the bull, Sammy Gravano, when he snitched on Gotti and the whole mob family. You know, I say it all the time, karma is definitely a bitch. And I can tell you right now, ever since Floyd Mayweather left HBO, ever since Floyd Mayweather fought Manny Pacquiao, HBO has been going downhill. We already know when Floyd Mayweather was with HBO, Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, they treated him like a red-headed stepchild. You know, just like those orphan parents make all the money off of the kid but don't give a damn about him. That is exactly how they treated Floyd Mayweather. And then when it came to Bob Arum, he was another one of them orphan parents that didn't care a whole lot about Floyd Mayweather when he was promoting Floyd. Like I told you guys the other day, when Floyd Mayweather was being promoted by Bob Arum, Floyd, he felt like Bob Arum was not giving him that Oscar De La Hoya type of treatment. And truth be told, he wasn't. Bob Arum was under the impression in order for you to be a mega star in this sport, you're going to have to be someone who's not black. Let's just put it like that. That's what Bob Arum was thinking. You're going to have to be, he was looking for another Oscar De La Hoya. He never thought that Floyd Mayweather can become a star. And you fast forward to present day, Floyd Mayweather surprised HBO's Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and he surprised Bob Arum, and he became a bigger star than Oscar De La Hoya. Now, because of Floyd Mayweather joining forces with Showtime and Al Heyman joining forces with Showtime, now they are a powerhouse. And while they're on the up, HBO is on the descend. And this is the reason why you always treat people the way you want to be treated. No matter what their color is, no matter what their race, gender, whatever, you treat people the way you want to be treated. Because you never know how that individual that you're treating bad is going to turn out. It's crazy because, like I just said, Showtime, Al Heyman, they are doing really good right now. HBO, Top Rank, Golden Boy, not so good right now. Not so good right now. Hopefully they get their act together and we get some meaningful fights next year. But right now they're not doing so good. But what's so funny is you guys notice how no matter how bad HBO was doing, the decafs, the fans, they would always deflect and try to convince the public that it was those people on the coincidental list like Al Heyman. That's the guy that's going down real fast. That's the ship that's sinking. They're the ones that aren't going to be around too long. Even if they know HBO or Bob Arum or Top Rank is having a hard time, they want to divert the attention. You know, one of my favorite channels to watch on TV is the Investigation Discovery Channel. That's the crime channel. All your reality, murders, forensics, detectives, interrogations, and all that kind of stuff, it's all there. One of my favorite shows on that channel is a show called I Almost Got Away With It. It's basically about prisoners that tell stories of how they broke out of prison and basically, you know, self-explanatory, how they almost got away with it. They tell their story of how they screwed up in life and ended up in prison. Well, one episode I was watching, this prisoner, he was telling his story of how he ended up going to jail. And he happened to be a white guy. He was telling the story of how he robbed somebody, point blank, right? So he robbed this white guy. There was a guy, basically, they were in a parking lot, right? And he basically just ran up to the car while this guy was slowly driving through the parking lot. He put a gun to his face and he said, "Give me your money," blah, blah, blah. He robbed him, right? So after he robs this guy, he says he goes home to check the news to see if anyone caught him. And to his surprise, he finds out that the white guy that he robbed actually told the police it was a black guy that robbed him, right? So, you know, the criminal, he's sitting over here with his girlfriend and he's telling the story. He's like, we're sitting over here laughing. We're like, this is unbelievable. And this is exactly what he said. He said, man, I was like face to face with this guy. I was looking this man dead in his eyes. He seen me completely. And he gave the cops a sketch of a black man. And this dude was talking about, he said, man, when I seen that, I felt invincible. I felt there's nothing that could stop me. So because of that encouragement, he continued to commit crimes until he got caught and thrown in prison. Now, what's so crazy about that story is the fact that the guy that was robbed was such a racist that he would rather protect the guy that actually robbed him just to blame it on any random black person. He would rather point the finger at the person that he personally doesn't like when he knows the real person who committed the crime is going to be set free, because he doesn't want one of his people to go to jail. He says to himself, man, if somebody has to go to jail, why don't I just have a black person go to jail? Why have this guy go to jail? Even though he robbed me, why have him go to jail? This is exactly how decafs think in the sport of boxing. If you knew that HBO was putting on the biggest mismatches, if you knew that they were going broke, if you knew these things, instead of you as a writer or a commentator or whatever role you play, instead of you telling the truth and telling the public who really is having some financial problems, who really is putting on mismatches, you rather divert attention and blame it on the people that you don't like because they're more expendable to you, right? I mean, I know on HBO we're getting Canelo versus Liam Smith, and before that we got Canelo versus Khan. We're getting Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley a third time, etc., etc., etc. Even though I know these are the ones that robbed me, why have them go to jail when I could have someone who I don't even like go to jail instead? I don't like mismatches, but hey, I like the people that's putting the mismatches on. So who cares if there's mismatches, right? I don't like to be robbed and have a gun pointed to my face, but hey, I like the guy who robbed me and put the gun to my face. So why have him go to jail? Why not have a guy who I don't like who didn't point a gun in my face and take my damn money? You see how they think? We know what time it is. And at the end of the day, once again, I am really hoping that Jesse Vargas, he surprises and shocks everyone, and he puts on the best performance he's ever put on, because that would be the only way it would make up for this fight that it seems nobody wants. And when I say nobody, I'm talking about the networks like HBO. I'm talking about Bob Arum. I'm talking about people like that. We already know a lot of fans didn't want to see this fight either, but it is what it is. That's pretty much all I got, guys. I'm on to the next one.